Today we will be resuming with the Vyavhar Darshan English translation sessions, and Rakesh Mama has handed over the hosting responsibilities to me for today. And Gauri Chachi is presenting chapter 17. I will let you proceed, introduce yourself and proceed.
Recording.
Hi. I didn't expect that I have to introduce myself because it's already there in the message. So yeah, I think most of you would know me. I'm Gowri. Have been associated with the Darshan, studying the Darshan for the last 14 years now. Yeah, and yeah, that's a brief introduction. We can talk more as we go ahead. And should I just start with reading the chapter?
Yes, okay. I'll just share the screen.
Yeah. Oh, also, I have to say this, not to be formal, but I have to thank Rakesh Bhaiya for giving me this opportunity and the English team for doing such a wonderful job of this translation and giving all of us this opportunity to meet and, read this. And for me, I think I must say that this has been very good for me because it's been a long time since I really like dwelled on this chapter or read this chapter in detail. And because I had to read it today in English, I read it like how I would have done Pathan, was doing Pathan many years ago with a lot of concentration. Though I have benefited from it. So thank you very much. And okay, now I can start. I will start reading this chapter. I will be reading Rahasya Mukti, Liberation from Mystery, the 17th chapter. The first sutra is not revealing understanding or not being able to do so or not being able to attain it is a mystery. The incapacity for this is mysteriousness. So Babaji here is defining mystery, defining mysteriousness by saying, so knowing something and not revealing, knowing and not being able to reveal, not knowing and not having the ability of knowing, all of this is defining as mystery. So just to talk a little bit about mystery, I think for some reason mysteriousness has always held a great attraction to mankind. Like I was discussing with our English team, our friends also, that I also see, like I see this thing in children, right? Like, they love to keep secrets. There's something about the notion of secrecy, and then so I wonder, like, what is this need that do they have this need to keep secrets? Is it like an attention-seeking behavior?
Can I start by asking you, please?
I could not hear that. Start what?
No, I think someone just joined and their mic was on. So
Oh,
can...
okay. I thought somebody was asking me to start again or say something again.
Oh, I didn't catch that, if that's the case.
Okay. I'm just going to continue. So I was talking about how I see this in kids, of how they have this notion for or some attraction towards mystery and a secret, and I was wondering what that is all about. And I see that somewhere it is. I thought maybe it's somewhere it is this thing about wanting to be special or wanting to be in control. You're keeping a secret and you're doing the other person a favor by revealing it. All of these notions, but then I understand that at the base of it is curiosity. At the base of it is the need to know, always like the need to know. And with this need to know is the need to belong. You don't want to be left out. I don't know something is not a nice feeling. I know is always like a feeling of satisfaction. So from these little, like how we start from kids, like with these little secrets and wanting to know everything, of course we get to wanting to know the final secret, rather than like the fundamental secret of who I am, where do I come from, so like trying to find out the nature of oneself and reality. And I think even according to traditional spiritual beliefs, and this is from what little I know, like even in Vedanta, the ultimate secret is always has been thought about as the realization of the self, the realization of Atman, and of the absolute, like the unchanging absolute. And I think they have different kinds of mysteries or rahasyas that they talk about. And usually this is something that is unraveled for you by a guru or the grace of a guru. Now, these rahasyas usually, or these mysteries, are not hidden deliberately, but it remains. I mean, this is what is believed in tradition and like in Vedantin thought, that it's veiled by ignorance, it's veiled by ego, it's also veiled by attachment, or it's inaccessible because one is so preoccupied with other worldly things, and it becomes accessible only through one's purity of mind, through discipline, or like by the grace of a guru or some divine grace. And I also think that they consider certain teachings to be mysterious because they are imparted directly by the guru to only certain people, like certain qualified people, like one who's worthy of that teaching. So that they ensure that this teaching is not misunderstood or misapplied. So with this little context of what mystery has been, how it has been thought about, I feel the name Rahasya Mukti, liberation from mystery, is a very apt name for this chapter. As here, Nagaraji is revealing the detailed workings of the inner self of the sentient unit to anyone and everyone who wants to know, like with no differentiation. And how we can know ourselves. What is the process, and understand that a certain regulation is possible, as we're all capable of it. We can attain the goal of the self, rather, attain our goal. So this a little bit about the chapter. I will read the next sutra, the next realization. Humans alone have the ability to attain complete understanding through the realization-based method in coexistence. An awakened human evidences their own awakening by paving the path of awakening for deluded humans. So here he's saying all humans have the ability to attain complete understanding, provided we want it. So when I want it or desire it, I will ensure that I get it. It becomes my responsibility. Like somebody else is not, delivering me from sins or darkness. Each one of us is responsible for our own awakening. And if at all there is another person who's responsible for it, then it is an awakened human, and they are not doing me a favor or giving me a boon or a blessing. They at the most will exhibit the right way to live by way of their work and behavior, by their directions. And my awakening is my responsibility, and it only ascertains their, like my awakening will ascertain their awakening. So my awakening is kind of the evidence of their awakening. This is what essentially he's saying in this sutra. Moving on to the next one. Now here there's a slight shift. He's talking about how unit is activity and about reality in nature. Unit, so I'll read the sutra now. Unit is activity. To have a comprehensive understanding of each unit, one must study its form, attributes, intrinsic nature, and dharma. While the form, attributes, and intrinsic nature can be understood, dharma can only be realized, which is possible only through study and adherence to step-by-step orders, directions, and instructions of one who has attained realization. So if the goal is to be rid of this mystery, what is to be done? So he starts by stating two fundamental requirements. One is to understand the reality as it is. It's the elemental, fundamental, existential reality. Everything needs to be understood. Whatever needs to be understood is right here in existence, and everything needs to be understood. And every human who wants to can understand. So he clarifies that all aspects of a unit has to be understood. Among the aspects of a unit, only dharma can be realized. As this is with the realization of the omnipresent, which is why he's saying only dharma can be realized. So the first requirement is that you have to understand the reality as it is. The second is actually, it is like an imperative prerequisite, is that one follows the orders, directions, and instructions of one who has attained this realization. So this is like a definite prerequisite. So these are the two requirements that he's stating in this sutra. I'm moving ahead and reading the next one. Realization in Jivan takes place in coexistence. It is natural to evidence orderliness with conscience by the five senses through realization-based method. The taste activity of values in man happens on the same basis. Conscience or realization in coexistence becomes evident as resolution, which then manifests as the taste of values. This serves as evidence of continuous happiness and the regulation of the senses through conscience. So he's talked about this realization, like to be rid of this mystery, one has to understand reality and have realization. Now, where does this realization happen is what he's clarifying in this sutra. So this realization happens in me, in coexistence, while living, while working, while behaving. And what is the outcome of this realization? Like when if one is rid of mystery, then what is the outcome by this after realization? He's saying that orderliness will be evidenced. So being in order, like senses are regulated by our conscience. So this is the self being in order. And while your conscience is in control or regulating your senses, you're living with orderliness. Live with conscience using one's senses. You're not withdrawn. Like after this realization, you're not just within yourself or just enjoying the fruits of the realization yourself, but you're actually living. And while you're living, you're living through your conscience. So, and he's also stating that this is natural. This will happen. This is how it will happen. And when this happens, this is when we can taste values. Like one will actually start enjoying living in humane values. So here, resolution is the predominant driver, not the senses. So this is the outcome of realization in a sense. And this is also the evidence. I mean, if one is living like this and like in order and living in orderliness, this is the evidence of continuous happiness. It's the result of being rid of mystery. So you're rid of mystery, then you get continuous happiness, which is what we all have been yearning for, and which is what we all want, which is in fact what he's stating in the next sutra. So here he goes on to say, I'm reading the next aphorism. He says, a deluded Jivan always keeps yearning for happiness. And then there is an explanation. When humans are unable to achieve permanent or continuous happiness, despite relentless efforts through their five senses, they strive again for the possibility of sustained happiness. This possibility is rooted in the principle that the extent of awakening in one sentient aspect determines the likelihood of their attaining and evidencing completeness. This leads to continuous happiness. This is the reason humans seek association and relationship with those who are more awakened than themselves. So here he's saying, what happens if you're not able to achieve this? What happens if we're not able to achieve this permanent continuous happiness? So he explains that the deluded Jivan is always in search of happiness, and we are trying, but we are going about it in the wrong way. We're looking for it in the wrong place. This happiness is evasive. So we keep trying. The possibility, he says, of attaining this sustained happiness is based on a principle. Now, this principle, I'm reading the line again from the sutra. The extent of awakening in one sentient aspect determines the likelihood of their attaining and evidencing completeness. So the level of your awakening is determining your proximity to awakening, in a sense. So because your likelihood of attaining is determined by the extent of your awakening. And how does one improve this likelihood? The way out cannot be found in the same realm where the problem exists, meaning that, just observing what is happening, let us say in our hopes, thoughts, and desires, is not a solution to improve our state of being. So in the last line is where he's saying that by associating ourselves with people who are ahead of us in their thinking, in their doing, in their living, in their being, taking inspiration from them, practicing to be like them. This is what will improve our likelihood of attaining a better state than we already are in. I will read the next one now. The elimination of mysteriousness depends on the level of awakening of the sentient or the intellectual aspect. The levels of the sentient or the intellectual aspect are based on differentiation of its awakening. So a little similar to the previous one that we read, is just further stating that even elimination of this mystery, because just before this he has stated that elimination of mystery is what will lead to sustained happiness. So this elimination of mystery is defined by the level of the stage of awakening. And this is what he goes on to further describe in the next sutra. The levels of intellectual development are differentiated as completely awakened, half awakened, partially awakened, and unawakened. These have also been called as completely conscious, half conscious, partially conscious, and unconscious. So it's clearly stated 5 different states or levels here. One being completely awakened, which is of course our ultimate destiny. Then awakened, half awakened, partially awakened, and unawakened. 5 states of being, of awakening or development. Now, next he starts focusing on the sentient unit and its working. So let me read the next point. He's saying a sentient unit, that is the Jivan, has 5 inseparable strengths: Man, Vritti, Chitta, Buddhi, and Atma. So this is where he's clarifying how or what is happening in delusion and what is happening in awakening, process of awakening, and in the awakened state. He starts by introducing us to the activities in the sentient unit. Like in the next one also, he's saying, every human activity involves sentience. This is hope, thought, desire, resolve, and realization in existence, respectively. So here is clarifying the strengths and the powers in the sentient unit. The strengths are Man, Vritti, Chitta, Buddhi, and Atma. And the powers are hope, thought, desire, resolve, and realization. These are what he's calling as sentient, what he's saying in Hindi as Bodhik Prayutti. He states that every human action involves these sentient activities. Like there can be no human activity without the involvement of this sentience. This is what he's clarifying in this realization. Due to delusion, hope in man is based on sensations. Thought in vritti follows this hope, and desire in chitta follows this thought. This is the sensation-based procedure or sensitivity. The alienation of buddhi from atma leads to deluded visualization and desires. So what is it that he's clarifying here? Here he's, or rather he's stating, he says that let's look at the sentient processes in delusion. He defines deluded visualizations and desires. So why does this happen? It happens because our hopes and subsequently our thoughts and desires are completely driven by our senses or sensations. All our decisions, analysis, our logic that we give to support our decisions will be to maintain like a status quo with the kind of sensations we are used to, or like to maintain our comfort zone. Basically, we are like giving into our sensations. And in the last line, he states that this delusion is due to the fact that buddhi is not aligned to atma, or is not aware of the presence of a more capable or of a more developed activity. So what happens then if the buddhi is not aligned, alienated from the atma? So here he's saying that the buddhi is alienated from the atman, which is why this delusion exists. So if the buddhi is not alienated, then what happens? This he clarifies in the next sutra. In awakening, hope in man is according to vritti. Thoughts in vritti are according to chitta. Desires in chitta are according to enlightenment of buddhi. And enlightenment in buddhi is according to atma's realization in existence. As a result, all the activities of reflection and projection are accomplished. The combined form of reflection and projection is referred to as the cognizant cycle. This itself is the awakened Jivan cycle. Now here he defines that the activities, the workings in the sentient unit in an awakened state, where there is like this undisturbed, unfettered, unhindered cycle of cognizance. And this unhindered cycle of reflection and projection. And this is driven by the realized Atma, which is of course realized in existence. And the buddhi has become aware and accepts or becomes according to this Atma, or experiences this realized Atma. And then the chitta follows the buddhi. It becomes according to this enlightened buddhi, the vritti according to the chitta, and the man according to the vritti. So there's this, continuous undisturbed cycle. And this is a cycle of reflection and projection. In a way, kind of understanding and then expressing or living that understanding. Hope resides between the gross body and man. Thought resides between man and vritti. Desire resides between vritti and chitta. Resoluteness resides between chitta and buddhi. And the evidence resides between buddhi and atma. And this is a cognizance cycle. So here he now describes the workings of the sentience in the human being. So there is also, if you notice here, is bringing in the gross body. So the sentient unit and the body. So when he's saying resides between, he obviously means, he does not mean spatially, but he means like functionally in between. What this means is the activities of hope, thought, desire, resoluteness, and evidence, they are always due to the combined workings of at least two, if not all the activities in the human being. It's together. It is nothing is in isolation. So hope is always together with the man and the brain or the body. For any thought to happen between the man and the vritti, that they're working together, we need our thoughts and vritti to work out or plan and execute our desires, etc. So this is continuous and repetitive, and this is also a cycle. This is a cycle of awareness and understanding, and a cycle that happens with all of these activities together. No one activities happening in isolation. Let's read the next one. In this way, harmony prevails within Jivan, where man is inspiration for the body, vritti is inspiration for man, chitta is inspiration for vritti, buddhi is inspiration for chitta, atma is inspiration for buddhi, and realization and coexistence is inspiration for atma. So he described the workings, the sentient unit, and now he describes when the cycle is in harmony, what is happening. So there's harmony when the more developed, if I can say higher activity is an inspiration for the less developed activity. And this is how it is, and this is how it should be. But what if it is not? The opposite of this would be disharmony, because the more developed activity is influenced by the less developed activity. So it kind of comes under pressure, to give into the man, which gives into the senses, to satisfy the senses or the sensations, rather than, let us say, reason or understanding, which he further clarifies in the explanations below. He has stated this ideal working, and we will see ahead like 4 different explanations or descriptions of how these functions in different conditions, such as like a human being in delusion, like in the sentient unit, what exactly is happening. In awakening, what is happening. So he will go on to describe these in detail. I'm reading the next one, where he's explaining how this working is happening or disturbed in delusion. In delusion, the hope in man is for satisfaction of sensations in the gross body. The thought in vritti is in support of this hope in man. The desire in chitta is in support of such thought in vritti. And buddhi is an expectation or wish for supporting the desire in chitta. Buddhi is an expectation of reality. Since man is more developed than the body, vritti is more developed than man, chitta is more developed than vritti, and buddhi is more developed than chitta, their mutualities continue to have discord. So this is an explanation of what happens in this cycle, which is supposed to be unfettered, undisturbed, this cycle that is going on, what happens in this cycle in delusion. So everything, in delusion, everything is like sensations driven. Like we hope to constantly fulfill the needs of the body. Our choices are for satisfaction of the senses, and hence our thoughts, our desires, they support or rather ensure that we're able to maintain these choices. And what is the state of the buddhi here? The buddhi is quiet. It is an expectation of reality, in expectation of the unchanging reality, as opposed to whatever we have assumed to be true in the chitta, to satisfy our senses, which is, ever changing, because sensations are ever changing. So it seems like the buddhi has a huge responsibility here. It reminds me of how, like, of course, in when I was young, because I speak Kannada, I remember how it's very common in Kannada to ask, like, what is wrong with your buddhi? To say that, to ask if, if is it functioning, is it on the right path and developing, or is it just empty? And it's usually considered as a very, huge insult, because of course it meant that somebody is asking you if you're capable of thinking, or, that stating that you're incapable of thinking straight, or, responsibly. So kind of the buddhi would come under a lot of pressure, huge responsibility. So this is what is happening in delusion. Babaji further clarifies this in the next sutra. The driving of the gross body is according to man, whereby there is hope between them. However, since vritti is more developed than man, it is unable to become according to the hope of man, resulting in mutual discord. Vritti intends to use man and body according to itself. Similarly, there is mutual discord between vritti and chitta. This discord itself proves to be the cause of feeling of friction and thirst for restfulness. So here he is further clarifying what is happening between, like taking two activities as an example, man and vritti, and why this is leading to discord. As we're breaking like the natural flow of inspiration of how it is supposed to be. It is like the man is telling the boss what to do. He continues to break the workings of this discord, break down the workings of the discord, and he clarifies this further. He says every discord, although it is a disturbance of friction inside ourselves, it is a reason for us to be rid of it. It is an indication for us to work on it and to get rid of this discord. As of course, nobody wants this. Nobody wants disturbance. Nobody wants um, this discord inside. No, or the stress that this discord is causing inside. So, as a very simple example, I'm taking my own example here as to if I have to prepare for this English reading, which I have to sit, I have to read, I have to give it some thought. I know I have to do this, but at the level of my man, I'm so distracted. I want to first clean my room as I just see some cobwebs. It's caught my attention, or I want to check my WhatsApp messages and I want to respond, or I want to listen to a recording that I've received on my phone. I've been told it's very good. I want to. So my man is like continuously distracted and in all of these places, and the vritti is saying no. Prepare for the English reading. And so there is my discord. So every little thing, causes this disturbance or discord. And in the next explanation that Babaji gives is of when there is no discord at all. So what does the working look? What is happening in the sentient unit? In the realization-based method, evidence of realization and coexistence happens in Atma. Enlightenment according to realization happens in Buddhi. Contemplation according to enlightenment happens in Chitta. Deliberation, that is of justice, dharma and truth, according to contemplation happens in Vritti. And taste according to deliberation happens in Man. Again, now this is another explanation that he's giving as to what happens in the sentient unit after realization. So before this, he was talking about delusion and what is happening and what the discord looks like. Now he is explaining what happens after realization. Is that the reflections, the meanings are transferred or received by each of these activities, meaning the Atma has realization and coexistence. It also has evidence of its own realization. And this is projected onto, or it is received by the Buddhi, as it is now looking towards the Atma, which is enlightened. The Chitta is looking towards Buddhi for meaning, and this becomes the basis for its working, for its contemplation. And this is reinforced by resoluteness. It is resolved to work according to the Buddhi. Subsequently, all our deliberations now happen according to the meaning that is there in the Chitta. So the goals, in a sense, the goals of the higher developed activities will be accepted and fulfilled by the lower developed activities. So this was a description of what happens with realization or after realization. The next one, on the other hand, through realization-oriented method, Hope in man becomes according to the thoughts arising in vritti, triggering utilization and righteous utilization of the body for this hope's fulfillment, leading to the rise of desire in chitta in support of these thoughts. The rise of buddhi's resolve in support of these desires and further for realization in Atma. This regulation is indeed the reflection activity. So here he is explaining what is happening in the sentient activities in the realization oriented method. So he describes the reflection activity and a kind of inbuilt regulation. So kind of for us to see what is happening in the path that we are trying to walk on. So this apeksha that he's talking about, this expectation at every level, this need that is there in every activity to be according to the more developed activity. The most developed being the realized Atma. So this regulation is what will keep us on this path. There is a resoluteness to fulfill the expectation of Atmanubhav, wanting to experience the Atma in the Buddhi, and an expectation to have desires to fulfill that resolve, to have thoughts to fulfill such desires, to have hopes that fulfill the thoughts, and to live and, to work, to behave, to fulfill this hope. So in a sense, it's a good thing that this inherent regulation is there. This in a sense also explains Jagrati Kram for me. There's a progressive awakening because of this inbuilt this expectation. This he's stating is the activity of reflection. So if this regulation is there, where is this regulation inspired from? Where is it coming from? So that is the we will see this in the next explanation that he gives. Since Atma is the mediator activity, it is natural for Buddhi, Chitta, Vritti, Man, and the body to be regulated and disciplined by Atma. The effort against this regulation alone gives rise to discord. So, very simply stating that to go against this natural flow, this inherent regulation, is disturbance. We've read this before. This happens when our desires are according to sensations rather than reason, rather than understanding, rather than enlightenment and buddhi. So, in the less developed activity, basically is ignoring the cause. And again, next he describes as to what is happening in awakening. So, in awakening, man remains inundated by vritti, vritti by chitta, chitta by buddhi, and buddhi by atma. As a result of being active in this manner, due to being satisfied, their functions attain their full potential, leading to no friction of effort, and restfulness becoming evident in all levels of jivan. This itself is the comprehensive resolution or abhyudaya. In this state, the body becomes completely regulated by man, meaning the senses become regulated based on conscience. So, what is he clarifying here is that in awakening, all these activities are aligned to the realization in the Atma. They're all in turn inundated by the activity that is more developed in them, meaning that they're an acceptance of that realized Atma and hence are functioning without any stress or friction, and there is no discord at any level. And so, man is in control of the senses and not the other way around. That is, it's driven by reason rather than sensations. So what is interesting here is that this regulation, what we would see as maybe some control in a positive sense, is what actually brings happiness, what actually brings peace, satisfaction, as opposed to any kind of control bringing in stress. Not control, but regulation, one would imagine, would cause stress, but it's actually this regulation that is bringing in happiness and peace. So far, he has described the workings of the sentient unit while in a state of harmony, being in delusion, realization based and realization oriented, and in the awakened state. I will stop here because this I had planned that this is as far as I will read today, and the rest of the sutras, which is my part. I mean, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this chapter will be read by me and Drishta. I'll be doing the first half of it, and Drishta will do the second half. And this is the first half of my first half. So this is where I stop today. And I'd be happy to hear all of your thoughts on this or what we've read, anything you want to share, discuss. We can do that now.
Thanks, Gauri Chachi. I think that was really nicely explained with very lived, relatable examples. And now, if anyone would like to say anything, they're welcome to.
Yes, I wanted to understand. Firstly, thanks. It was lovely just listening to it, revisiting this whole structure and the activities of Jeevan has always it's kind of deluded me. I try to grasp it, and then it's going so fast. I'm not able to make out, okay, what is happening in Vritti and what is happening in Chit, and I'm not able to label it appropriately. Is it possible for you to kind of give one example, let's say, of a thought, and then what is happening in Vritti and what the very second paragraph that you were reading, where it's explaining? Um, I was wondering if it's possible for you to take one thought and then kind of uh, how would it be if it is going from realization, and how is it that is normally happening? Because then its function, it's the same. It's the content that is not in place because there is no realization. So I just wanted to see that process. Um,
Yeah. So from what we have read so far, I think ahead he's going to break it down more. But from what we've read now, the two strong anchors that I see is, of course, one where everything that we do is kind of the motive is still to maintain or to satisfy our senses. What that means is all the decisions that I make will be to see if I like something or I don't like something. So if I like something, then my decisions will be, for like my thought. Okay, let us start from here. Like let us say my or mind now is just focused on one thing for any one kind of taste. So it could be like the texture of a clothing, or it could be food, which is the most easiest example, or it could also be some environment that I'm used to with a certain kind of weather conditions, or hot, cold, things like that. So what my man accepts, from outside, like from the body, the vritti is now gets this information and kind of breaks it down more to say, I like this, I don't like this, this is nice, this is not nice. It's kind of breaking down the information that it's getting from the man. And what I really like or associate with my happiness is getting stored in my chitta. Now, what is getting as a desire, because I've liked something now that it's getting stored as my desire. Now, this desire in my chitta is there. It can form a memory. Now, this memory that will now drive a lot of other decisions because it's based on what I like or what I prefer. So this is one one process that has happened, and many such processes are happening in parallel and very fast. So there's a lot of things that are getting deposited in my chitta. So the ones that are going into the chitta are actually the ones that are being associated with my happiness, or I assume happiness. So the things that I think will give me happiness are the ones that are getting fixed as my desires. And once they're fixed as my desires, then I form thoughts. In the sense, I do a lot of analysis to support those desires, because I want to hold on to them. I'm not ready to let go of them, because they, in a sense, all this combination of desires that are now deposited are me. So that's me. That is me. That's how I am. That's how I think. That is how I see the world. A lot of these things, they're all like this of me things that are there, and I want to hold on to them. So that I have formed a lot of, I continue to form a lot of thoughts to support these set of desires. Uh, and so the man will work, or when I say man will work, I will do everything. When I work with people in my relations, my decisions in my family, decisions that I make to choose the kind of work I do, to choose the kind of place I'll go, choose the kind of place I want to stay, settle down. Every, from small little decisions to large decisions now will be done, and also lived out through the body, to support those desires, because now they have been formed and they've been fixed, but they're largely driven with, so when we say it's driven by sensations, it means they are submitting to the things that we like, right? So this is like, that's this one process. Now the other process that Pavali is talking about is where the man is not submitting to the senses. Yes, you're getting senses from outside, from various sources. It's not that it is ignored or it's gone away, but the man is not submitting to it because it is wanting to, it has this expectation to go according to the thoughts that are anchored in desires, that are anchored in some kind of understanding. So let us say you understand that just holding on to my likes and desires is not important. Like if I'm living in a family, then you also understand that if there are a lot of, you're living with a lot of people whom you're related to, you understand these relationships, you understand that everybody is like me, they're also thinking like me, they also have these set of desires, these thoughts, and so just holding on to what I like is not important because it's fleeting. I will like something today, I like something tomorrow, these things will change, it's fleeting, this is not priority for me. What is priority is I want to evidence these relationships in the family, and if I have to do that, then I have to not be so, I mean, that's how you would start, not saying that you have to let go, but that's how you would start thinking about it, that let me not be so stuck with these things just because I like it. Let me also see what needs to be done to, let us say, hold peace in the family, or what needs to be done to keep a friendship going with a friend. Larger things. So you have these larger reasons for doing certain things. So now your thought, your way of thinking, your analysis, your decisions will be to support this larger context, this larger what we call as vyavastha. So you want to support that, and so your thoughts will now not given to the man, which would given to the sensations otherwise. So your thought is now trying to go your analysis or decisions are trying to go according to your desires that are being now, or you're trying to change them according to your understanding. So there's this other flow wherein you're not giving in to the sensations, but you are trying to see what is the right way to do something, what is the right way to behave in, let us say, a particular relationship. What is the right thing to say, not to say. So you kind of bring in a practice of regulation, although that's not happening in you. So you practice this regulation, and with this practice, I think comes, I mean, this will come later in this chapter. With this abhyas, this practice, you will start tasting something different, something other than what you're getting just through your senses. You will start tasting these values that seem to, I mean, to put it very loosely, that seem to taste better, longer lasting happiness or peace, something. So with this practice and this feeling that you start getting that this is giving me more happiness, more satisfaction, more value than what was happening before, then that process starts to set in more and more.
Mm.
So the kind of it's not talk driven, it's just a language, but that process starts setting in more.
Mm.
So I don't know if with everything that I said, if it's becoming more clear or more confused.
No, I got
But
it.
yeah,
It
that's
kind
how
of
I feel it.
confirmed. Yeah. I got it, and it kind of confirmed something that I have been also concluding. Um, but it made it clearer. The second thing that I wanted to check with you about was that whole thing about mystery and that dilemma. Because as a teacher, when I go to a classroom and I'm with the students, I
Mm.
do see that what appeals to them is this seeking uh, as to what is coming. And in fact, I have the kind of things that I have learned is that to harness it and then to be able to give the child what they are seeking. So I understood from you that the role of mystery is actually a kind of to wake us up to be open to what is self-evident. Maybe the mystery is leading us to that. And as educators, it does become then our responsibility to lead them to that. So, not to let go of the tool of mystery, because in my mind, since I've come to Vidya, I have started becoming little scared of the word, oh, this is also mystery, this is also mystery, I shouldn't do it. But now everything, I mean, he's made a very large definition of even if you haven't understood and you can't express, he's also mystery. So, but I'm just thinking it aloud that. There is a role of mystery. It intrigues us, but the seeking is for the truth to realize. If I understand it in a very brief sentence, that's how it's coming to me.
Yeah. I mean, even others can please feel free to jump in. It's not that only I have to. Um, it's not a query directed just at me, I'm sure, but it would be nice if everybody jumped in. It would be a livelier discussion. But yeah, I think the one point there is to, of course, to take the child finally to this point to say that everything is a mystery until you understand it, and you can, you know. But at the same time, it is not to uh, it is not to thwart that the, like you said, the need to know, the wanting to seek, to find out. So if there's this enthusiasm to seek to know, that is what has to be kindled. But definitely the whole the secret thing is not to be encouraged. And I see that kids also, of course, they don't like if you question them saying, you know, is it nice to keep a secret? Do you want only a few people to know what you know, or do you want to share it with everybody? So sometimes they might say, no, I just want to share it only with my best friend. But then when you question them saying, what if the same thing is done to you? And then they say, no, that's not nice. You should share it with everybody immediately. I mean, that's not, there is no, children are always, they quickly understand that no, everybody has to know. That's when it is nicer. It's not nice when only a few people know. That is one thing. And so this we have to link it to the thing that this seeking, this knowing is a good thing. And we have, and whatever is there can be known. There is nothing that is,
Yeah.
hidden.
Mm.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
If I can just maybe join in on this conversation.
Yes.
I
Please.
like with mystery, if I think back to what it was that intrigued us as children about things that were mysterious and then solving the mystery, I think it was always because when you're living life, I think as children, initially, of course, you're curious because everything is new and fascinating, and you have wonder about everything. But as you grow slightly older, you sort of start to get accustomed to everything. And so, you lose that quality of asking about the things that are new to you. And because, it's not so stark, the difference between what is known to you and what is unknown to you. So I think what a mysterious thing does is it creates a greater starkness between what you know and what you don't know. It like shows you, okay, listen, you don't know this. For instance, you know for sure that a rabbit can't be pulled out of a hat, and yet you see it happening. I mean, as one example. Or you know that something can't levitate, and then if you see something happening, then you wonder, like, how can this happen? Like, it's just a very stark um, curation or a demonstration of letting you know that there's something that you still don't know. And as soon as we have that, when we're shown that we don't know something, I think it's an innate tendency to want to know and to
Yeah.
then, it becomes a mystery that we were not aware of. And now we know that it's a question, that it's something we don't know, and that it's something, therefore, that we would like to know because that's us humans. We like to resolve mysteries. We like to have answers. But now we
Yeah.
know what to find an answer to. So I think that is what really felt good. Now I have something to seek, and we like to seek and find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yes.
Mhm. Anyone else would like to uh, talk a bit about mystery?
I'm just thinking that how we have trivialized it so much, like this whole thing about surprise gift or surprise party and surprise. I kind of, in my mind, I've been wondering what is really the purpose of it. I see children really get intrigued by it. So, even if the fact that I have drawn something on the blackboard and I've covered it up before the children come, there is this intrigue, and exactly what you just said. There's something that is behind something which I'm not familiar and I can know, or I want to know. But I'm seeing also that if it can be led or handheld to a point where what Gauri just now you said, that there is something to know and I can know. The children are taken to that point, though intrinsically they are curious,
Mm.
and the mystery and curiosity comes together. But I think it's up to the adult to take them to a point where they can live with that idea that I can. There is something that I seek and I can know it, and
Mm.
that's what curiosity is for. So yeah, I'm taking that thought away from it. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to say anything, or just any thoughts that were triggered while listening to this or reading the sections? We have some time, so we can, take up any topics to be discussed that are related to this. Sanjana or Spencer? Okay, so if there's no more, then maybe we can end today's session right here and meet again on Tuesday. Okay. All right. So it's been really nice. Nice to.
I just want to
Anisha, ma'am, please. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say, Gauri, it was you presented it very well. Really enjoyed it. And I think this whole I wouldn't say debate, this little discussion about mystery has triggered all kinds of thoughts. I've always loved reading mysteries all my life. I still love reading mysteries or seeing who done it kind of, stories. So it's just triggering a lot of thoughts. So I think it's an interesting thing. And I think inherently जो ये बात की जो inherently सत्य जानने की जो चाहना है अंदर, that is the final this thing जो what we are really curious about, जो हम biggest mystery जो solve करना चाहते हैं. But yeah, these small mysteries that attract you, उसके प्रति there's some thought which has gotten triggered after this conversation. Just
No,
wanted to
that
share that. Good
that
job.
reminded me of thank you. Although I don't know, this is a very difficult chapter that way to explain. For me, it definitely is. But what you said just reminded me of something. And this thing about liking mystery or mysteriousness or having an interest in something that is a mystery and then solving it. I remember having a discussion with, not a discussion, but the same point came up with Sadhan Bhaiya, and he had an interesting thing to point out that this usually, this is there in children, this attraction towards mystery, but this will continue if, agar, I'm saying it in Hindi because I'm not getting English words for it immediately, saying agar हम समाज में या सामाजिकता में या सामाजिक कार्यक्रमों में ज्यादा हम प्रमाणित नहीं हुए हैं, if we haven't not what I mean is in that process where the child is growing up and this thing continues to stay with the child, this interest in mystery, it just means that the child hasn't done enough with people, with living, with relationships, with work, and gotten a satisfaction from it, because that satisfaction is very huge and that will replace this mental, this kind of interest in mysterious things. I don't know if I'm clarifying that well in English, but basically ये है कि that kind of just becomes like a mental interest and a mental working out and a satisfaction. For example, the example that you gave, like if you're reading a mystery novel and then we read a story, it's a fiction, and then we saw how the story unfolded and there was something that was suddenly revealed at the end and it gave us like a little thrill. But it's all just mental, वो कल्पना में दौड़ रहा है. It's just in our imagination. But if that enjoyment that we get from that imagination is replaced by a lot of work that we do actually do, and replaced by that satisfaction, this mystery loses its whatever thrill. That you lose that thrill, which is why a lot of us, of course, grow out of it. People don't continue to read mystery novels and get so hooked to it, and all. It falls off. It's just when you are very young that it's really attractive. That for me was very interesting because जो मजा आता है in the enjoyment that you get in understanding and in living the right way in relationships, and then we understand, then the tripti that you get from that, the satisfaction that you get from that is very large. Once you get that, that is satisfaction that you're getting from a lot of these things, or from this so-called understanding mystery, not understanding mystery, from reading these fictionary things and getting a thrill out of it, will drop off. So that for me was very interesting. It's a little off the topic, but yeah, I just wanted to share.
I mean, I don't think very off the topic. It is connected to what we are discussing. Because जब हम रहस्य की बात करें तो obviously these kind of mystery books do come in because most of us have grown up with it, right? And it has fascinated most of us, so it is connected to it.
Yeah, that and
And
the movies and
I think
all
one will have to
that.
think about what Sadhvi has shared with you and what you just shared with us. I think thoda sochna padega.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think it kind of made me pause and think, oh, really? So it kind of gives you that food to rethink when we are meeting children or when I'm meeting myself or I'm meeting my family members.
Mm.
Those who show this uh, need for mystery, can I relook at it from this perspective? I'm just taking that with me, and it'll be worth observing. It's very,
Mm.
yep.
Yeah, even I'm thinking about that, whether how to connect this intellectual exercise, which is solving a mystery, how to connect that with ruchi mulak aswadan, na, the interest based aswadan, and how you know, I'll have to see how it works,
Yeah.
and how it's going to be replaced by mulya mulak aswadan, value based. I don't know what tasting. Mulya, matlab, that's essentially what Sadhan Bhaiya is saying, right?
Mm. It's
That,
much larger and will automatically replace.
hmm.
Yes. And
But
we see that happening even as we grow up. We see that happening. It's a very
I can see it in Priyahit Labh and then Mulya Mulak Aswadan. But this intellectual exercise, है ना, how does that connect with Priyahit Labh? That needs to be figured out.
I feel like it's very similar, I think, because it's like any other sort of entertainment that we seek. It's a simulation of what can be lived,
yeah,
right?
very true. You're putting yourself in I'm not
Shoes.
exactly in the shoes of the characters that you're reading about, but kind of. That imagination is giving you the pleasure.
Yeah.
We're assuming the pleasure that you would get if you would be in that plot or whatever. That's what entertainment is all about, right? So,
It's like all the emotions, the character. That's a good book. It's if it can make you feel the way the character would feel. And I think the added attraction of a mystery novel is that even if you don't feel with the characters, you have this puzzle to solve. So it's maybe very comparable to maybe doing crosswords
Crossword
or
puzzles.
sudokus or something like that. Whereas if you have real problems that actually have hold meaning to you in life that you are solving, then those
absolutely.
are
I think
much
that's
more
nicely put. Yeah.
in the
Better.
absence of that, we're kind of, it's like I'm comparing it to
Yeah.
how video games try to simulate the children's needs for accomplishment through, these milestones that they can reach. So, that's what also addicts children to video games, that, you can achieve things again, and you can feel that sense of satisfaction that comes from achievement, which is a natural desire for human beings. But actually, it's much realer when you do it in real life. Whereas this is like,
Virtual.
a short of whatever, you know, cocaine compared to actually whatever. Yeah, a simulation of the same.
Virtual reality.
Yeah.
It's not real.
So if you have that way I can understand it. If you are solving real life situations with the people you love and care about in situations that have to be resolved, then you won't seek mysteries and solving mysteries in fiction.
Yeah. And you can extend that to any kind of entertainment, actually. You will not seek.
True. In fact, maybe that's a good tell, no? If whatever I am attracted to in entertainment tells me what I'm lacking in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that's been my conclusion too. I've been reflecting on that. What pulls us is what we are lacking. But, and also now this realization about that in truth, we are really seeking the truth. It
Yeah.
gets camouflaged with what we believe to be giving us solution, but they are not. So if we can consciously participate in it, then it becomes serious adhyan. Yeah.
Right. interesting conversation.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you.
Rakesh Bhaiya is that a raised hand or
He's
Bhaiya's
clapping.
Clapping. Yeah.
He's clapping. Okay.
Would you like to, Rakesh Mama?
Add something.
I just my
What Bhaiya is saying is a mystery.
Oh,
I think you've moved out of Manjeet Tauji's house.
yes. Now we have evidence of his bad internet connection.
Yes.
Chalo, we'll have 2 more sessions to think about this and explore this.
Yeah. Oh, 3. Okay, then.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. See you
Thank
next.
you.
Good night.
Good night. Yeah.